What's good? What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over the vrising movement abilities. As you can tell by the title, it's kind of like a tier list, my overall thoughts on which ones I think are the better ones, which ones are used for certain situations, and overall give you guys some insight of what I think of the game, maybe help you guys make a decision for your build or kind of how you want to approach the game. I'm going to put up the disclosure and say overall I think all of them kind of have their place. I do think that some get outshone by some others, as we'll discuss later in this video. But overall, I don't think any of them are particularly bad. Maybe one of them I think is a little iffy, but overall I think they're pretty well balanced, and I'm excited to see what the devs do with it. With all that being said, let's just jump right into it. All right, so we're in game, and as like I was saying, we're going to be going over the movement abilities. So if you don't know, it's these the spacebar abilities that are typically called Veil of whatever, depending on the tree. And so this is the Veil of Blood. It's the first one in the tree. Bring it up here. See, each one has it in each one. First and foremost, all the abilities have a base cooldown of 8 seconds, which I think is a little interesting considering what some of these abilities do and what some don't, and the cooldown. So I think that might be changed, or probably will be changed here soon. But as of right now, they're all 8 seconds, and they all provide something called an Iframe Window. So when you're attacking, you can press this to dodge, and essentially you get invulnerability frames, is what an Iframe is, and you can dodge it. Now, each one has a little bit of a different amount. So this Veil of Blood, for instance, has a 0.5 second cast time, which is essentially how long it takes from the time you press it to the time that it ends. And so you have about almost a half a second of invulnerability from being attacked by abilities. And we're gonna go over each one, and then we're gonna kind of tab back in and out after I talk about each one, put it on the tier list, and then we're gonna go on to the next one. And then at the end, I'll give you guys my overall thoughts. So the Veil of Blood is the first one you get, and it is dash towards input direction and elude nearby enemies for 2.2 seconds. Your next primary attack deals 25% bonus damage and heals you for 5% of your max health. Now, when I first got this, I was really excited about it. I love kind of life leech kind of style abilities. And I'm going to show you guys what it looks like right here. If I can find a person. So right here, see, we'll attack. Hopefully we'll take some damage here. And now at -7, you dash and you hit again and you heal for 7 right there. Right? So that's what it looks like. I'm just going to get out of here so we don't have any more aggro. Now the steer maker here, the Veil of Blood's right here. And I think, believe it or not, I'm going to put it at good but better options. So kind of like I was saying, I was really excited about this. I love kind of life leeching abilities, life stealing abilities in most games. And I was excited to do this, but after kind of experimenting, found that it's a little bit of a lackluster ability. It gets outshone by one of these abilities that we'll talk about here soon. And I think that it just needs to be a little bit better, a little bit of a buff. I think the 5% is just a little bit low for my personal take. And I think that it doesn't provide as much as some of these other abilities. I guess I will point this out. Each dash has a certain distance, and for Blood, for Illusion, and for Frost, they are all the same distances that you go, how long the dash is. Unholy is the longest, and Chaos is the shortest, but you'll see why it's the shortest because you get 2 instances of it. But so for Blood being the same distance as Frost and as Illusion, I just don't think it's that good. 8-second cooldown on it. You get a 25% increased damage on your next attack, and you heal for 5%, but it's only if you actually hit the auto attack. And now I know some of you might say, well, you just got to be better. And I'm not saying you aren't, but you get rewarded more from other abilities that do the same thing. I think that it just needs to be increased a little bit. So I'm going to put in gear here, good, but better options. Moving on to the next one, which is going to be on the Unholy section. It's going to be the Veil of Bones. So dash towards towards input direction, elude nearby enemies for 2.2 seconds. Your next attack launches a projectile that deals 25% magic damage and bounces up to 4 targets, and inflicts Amplify, which you guys know, which is increases damage taken by 25% for 5 seconds. So that's kind of a theme in the Unholy section, is about the Amplify, and we're going to show it here. I think that this one is a pretty good one. After I show it, I will do this, and it's actually a ranged projectile, so it shows it off and it does that. So that makes it unique in the sense that no other dash, as you'll find out, is ranged like that. And I think that makes it pretty unique and makes it pretty good in that sense. I'm going to rank this right here in great. I think Unholy is a very good dash. I think it is the longest one. I think it is unique in the sense that no other dash does it like it. It provides Amplify, which allows you to deal increased damage, and I think it's really good in situations where you're fighting a boss or you're like a small scale skirmish PvP. I think that the more people that get benefits from the damage amp, the better. And the boss, obviously, during windows of everyone attacking, 25% increased damage does a lot. It is a little bit of a harder thing to land. The projectile isn't the fastest, and it has a decent little cast time to it, so it's definitely something that's on the higher end skills cap ceiling. So that's also why I think it may be in the great versus the best, because it's not as forgiving. If you miss it, essentially just like blood, you get nothing out of it, and so that's pretty harsh. You do get it does have the longest dash, so that is worth something. I think this should be in every kind of small scale skirmish, or when you're doing a boss fight. I think somebody needs to be running Unholy because of the damage amp, unless you're running another Unholy ability that gives a damage amp, because I think it's just so impeccable. It gives you so much, and for 5 seconds too, so that's a huge window to be able to pump out damage. Moving on to the next one, it is going to be Illusion. So Illusion, it reads, dash towards the input direction, elude for 2.2. Your next primary attack deals 25% bonus damage, spawns an illusion that throws projectiles that deal 40% magic damage, and you can recast to your start position, and it spawns a new illusion at your current location. So I'll show you guys what it looks like. So get these guys aggroed. We do this. We'll do this. He throws stuff, as you can see. I can press it again, and I go back to this, and now over there is where I get spawned again, and then it does damage. So going to this, so Illusion, I actually think is probably the worst one in the game. Now, I have good but better. It has a small niche to it, but I think overall it's really bad. I think if you'll notice in Illusion, most of the abilities in there have a weaken effect, which essentially dampens the target's damage by I think about 30 or 40%. And that's huge. That's really great against bosses. That's good in even 1v1s and small scale skirmishes. It just allows, damage. It makes the target do less damage. But for some reason, the dash doesn't apply it. Now where Unholy does, Unholy has some damage amp, the dash also applies it. And so I'm kind of confused why the Illusion doesn't have it. I think the Illusion should have it. It might have been a missight. Maybe the devs just didn't think about it, but it needs to be in there. If they put that in there, I think this would be a really great ability. It has the same distance as the blood and the frost, and so it doesn't have that. I guess the only thing that I would say that it has kind of a use for is in a PvP scenario. If you wanted to like show off and kind of do like an outplay potential, you could have the spawn back location to it and kind of mess with your opponent's mind a little bit. But I think, as you'll see in the next one of these next two, I think one of these other ones just does what the Illusion wants to do but better. And the projectile, it does 40% damage, and while that's not bad damage, the projectile is pretty slow. It's only single target, and it's just the AI about it is kind of weird. So I just think overall the Illusion is just really not that good, outside of maybe trying to be flashy, but even then I don't think it's good. I think it's probably one of the ones that need to be get the most love out of the game. I think if you apply weaken to it and you maybe make the AI for the little spawn a bit better, it could be really good. But until then or something like that, I think it's pretty much the worst, and I'd actually probably recommend staying away from this one. I just don't see it being very that good. Moving on to the last two. So the last one here, second last, is a Veil of Chaos. So this one does the same thing. Dash towards input direction, elude nearby enemies for 2.2 seconds. Your next melee attack does 25% bonus damage. Can be recasted to dash once more, spawning a second illusion. Your illusions explode, dealing 50% magic damage to nearby enemies. So this one is really good. As you can see here, we'll dash, and it leaves you behind this little thing here, and then you can press it again. Oh, it didn't kind of work it there. I think I waited a little too long there. But as you can see, we dash, we do this, we recast again, and another little explosion there. So it does 2 dashes. And once we get out of here, I'll go back to the tier list to talk to you guys more about this. I think overall, though, this is probably, this is going to be a little interesting with the sun. I think overall, this is actually the best overall one in the game. Straight up, I think Veil of Chaos is best in every situation. It can be used in any kind of build you're going, whether you're going, spell casting, you're going melee oriented, you're going defense oriented. It gives you so much. It gives the highest iframe in the game because of the 2 dashes that you get. You get maneuverability out of that. You can go a double dash forward, double dash backwards, dash forward and then go left. It just gives you so much maneuverability and adaptability to situations. So I think it's really good. I think it's also really good for early on in the game when you're trying to learn boss mechanics and stuff. It's a lot more forgiving. And on top of that, if you hit both of the illusion damage explosions and the 25% damage increase, it actually does the most damage too. So it gives the most maneuverability, gives the most iframe, and does the most damage. It's just easily the contender for the best one overall. I think that I'd like to see skills kind of be brought up to it rather than saying that this is nerfed and it needs to be, it's too good essentially and it needs to be nerfed. I don't think that's the case. I think that things need to be brought up to this level because I think the way Veil of Chaos works is just a really great way overall, and I think that it provides a good way to play the game, and I think I'd like to see the other dashes kind of get brought up to that. Now moving on to the last one here is going to be the Veil of Frost. So Veil of Frost is Oops. It is dash toward input direction, elude for 2.2 seconds, and then you shield yourself for 125% of your spell power. Your next primary attack deals 25% bonus damage, and you conjure a Nova Frost, dealing 50% magic damage and inflicting chill on nearby enemies. So if I can get to this while I'm in the sun, I can show you guys what this looks like. So we're gonna go right over here to this lone man over here. So we dash forward, you get the shield as you can see, and you attack. It does this little frost, and then it applies chill. So now I can hopefully get out of here and kind of hide somewhere in the shade. Let's go all the way around here because it is now sunlight, and that gets a little risky sometimes, as you guys probably know. I put frost. It's the second best, so I'm gonna actually put it, yep, it's the second best in the game. Frost to me is what blood wants to do, but better in every way. So blood heals you for 5% of your health, which at where I'm at right now, that heals for about 23 health. It's about how much health I get. And the frost heals for or shields you for 125% of your spell power, which what I'm currently at is about 50. It does a little over 50, and so right then and there it just doubles what blood does. And I don't have any like scholar buffs or any like increase in my spell power or health or anything, so it's just kind of a baseline for where I'm at. And so right then and there, frost just shields you for more. Now you could argue that the health isn't the same as a shield, but for double the amount that you get, I would say it's pretty comparable. And then on top of that, frost does even more. So frost does the same 25% increase bonus damage that a blood does, and then after that, it also does a 50% magic damage AoE. Granted, it's maybe a little small, but it's decent AoE, and it applies chill. So it implies 2 other bonuses on top of what blood does, plus a better shield. And especially if you pair frost with another kind of frost ability to inflict freeze, that just it changes the whole game. It adds so much more survivability because it freezes these enemies. It gives you chances to kind of kite away if you need to, run away, kind of reposition, whatever it is, or just go ham and just kill all the enemies. And I think that's really what makes frost kind of better than blood, because it just adds so much more than what blood has. I think frost is probably contender to be up with chaos. I think the reason why chaos is just a little edge higher is because it adds so much adaptability to a situation, where frost is really good. It's not probably good in range builds because you don't get anything from the shield if you're kind of ranged, and the melee aspect to it with the AoE frost is where it kind of shines. So I think it's really only good in melee builds, and I think Unholy is only really good in range builds, and the chaos I think is just best overall. So that kind of does it for all 5 of them. My overall thoughts is that I think, again, these are all in a decent place. I don't think any of them are terribly bad. I think that if they added a weaken to illusion, I think right then and there that'd just make it so much better. And I think blood just needs to be a little bit buffed as far as maybe more healing, or maybe get some attack speed when you press it or something like that. But I think overall, I would like to see all of the dashes in line with how the frost is. I think even though I put chaos as the best overall, I think the design factor that frost has and exactly what it gives and the thematic is exactly what I want to see all the other dashes do. I think chaos, if they maybe made the cooldown a little bit longer, because again, all of these skills are on 8-second cooldown. They're all the exact same, which right then there is also a weird thing, because all the spells don't have the same cooldown, all the weapon skills don't have the same cooldown. The reason why things have longer cooldowns is because they're either better or they do more damage or have a bigger impact on the gameplay. And so I think chaos maybe going up to like 10 would put it right in line. And I think Unholy, the only thing I'd like to see with it is maybe having the projectile a little bit bigger. I think because it doesn't really do damage, it just applies amplify. It's not really unheard of for the projectile to just be a little bit bigger, so it's a little bit more liable to hit. But I still think it's super good, and I think Frost has nothing about Frost needs to change. I think Frost is perfect and exactly what I want to see it in it. Blood, like I was saying, I'd like to maybe see some attack speed to it. Either maybe make it the next 3 auto attacks heal a bit. Maybe give you some movement speed, just give it a little bit more, because I think if they made blood on top of like thematic wise as frost, I would probably use blood more than anything, because I just love the thematic of life stealing and the like kind of auto attack rage build of that. And for illusion, I think if they made the AI do a little bit better as far as projectiles and maybe increase the projectile speed of it and apply the weaken, I think right then and there it goes right up to the great. And I think right then and there that's like a perfect thing. So anyway guys, that's my overall thoughts for the movement abilities in the game. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know which ones you guys have been liking, what weapon combos and stuff you've been putting with these different dashes. Also, let me know maybe, you know, what kind of dashes do you want to see in the game? What new ones do you want to see? Because I'm sure they're going to add more down the line. I'm just super excited for this game. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next time. Until then, take it easy.